Hello, my artists. This week we are going to focus on landscape art and also create a landscape art of our own. So I have two images I want to show you before we begin. I actually created both of these. One is a painting of trees and one is a collage with magazines of a coffee cup. Now, if I say the word landscape, which one of these two pieces of art do you think of? So think of the word landscape and what two images or two words do you hear when I say the word landscape? If you're thinking the one with the trees, you are right. Now, a landscape image or an artwork of a landscape usually consists of trees, flowers, bushes, maybe a mountain, a hill, things of nature, right? It's whatever is kind of like outside makes a landscape painting. So landscape paintings can be held vertically like this one is, or most of them you see is horizontal. It's up to you of which way you want to create your artwork. But before we begin creating our artwork, I want to talk about the word pointillism. Anybody know where the word pointillism is? I don't know. It's kind of a weird word, right? Pointillism, like what is that? But it is actually an art technique using a whole bunch of circles and colors to form an image. And we're going to create our landscape image using a whole bunch of circles. So there's actually a famous artist named George Seurat who uses this technique to create his own work. So before we begin creating our work, let's take a look at his work. Our landscape pointillism art project. I just want to come back to this picture one more time of my fall landscape, and I want you guys to figure out what colors do you see in the fall foliage. Are they warm colors or are they cool colors? So warm colors consist of red, orange, and yellows, and cool colors are green, purple, and blue. Now, if you're thinking warm colors, you are absolutely correct. So warm colors, think of your yellows and your oranges of the sun or things that are hot, and red is like hearts. So think of something warm and cozy. And think about the fall. We often put on our gloves and our mittens and bring our warm, cozy clothes back out. All right, so the supplies you are going to need is, of course, a piece of paper. It could be any size. I am working with just a standard size paper of 8.5 and 11. You can use copy paper, computer paper, construction paper. You don't have to have a white piece of paper. It could be maybe a different color. It might just not show your colors very well. You can also use a piece of newspaper. Maybe you have a paper towel, a paper plate. So it doesn't have to be on a piece of paper. If you don't have paper at home, it's okay. Think of a different way. Be creative. All right, another supplies you might want to use is markers. I'm going to use markers for mine. If you have crayons or color pencils at home, you may use them too, but whatever you have at home, it's up to you. All right, so to begin our tree, you want to start with a brown or a black marker, and I am going to use a dark brown for my tree. Now the second thing you're going to do, so everybody has their black or brown color, you are going to either hold your picture, a portrait for you, right, that I might portrait you now, and you might have really tall trees, or you can do landscape and have more trees, but they're going to be shorter. So it's totally up to you of what you're going or how you're going to hold your paper. I'm going to hold my paper in a landscape style, and we're going to draw the letter Y. Right? So we're going to find a space anywhere on your paper, and you are going to write the letter Y to form our tree. Right? Super easy. So next, I'm going to find another spot on my paper, and I'm going to create a Y that is either bigger or smaller than the first one I just did. So I'm going to come over here, or it could be the same size, and I'm going to create another one. Maybe my one side of my Y is a little taller than the other one. That's okay. All right, so now I got 2 Ys. And I'm going to do one more, maybe I'll do 2. I'm going to create a Y here. And another one here. I'll make a smaller one. So I have 4 Ys on my paper. You can do as many as you want to. So the more Ys you do, the more trees you have. Now the second part of our drawing, and remember, you can pause and stop this video or rewind anytime you need. So if you need to stop and catch up, go for it. Hit the pause button. So our second step for our Y trees is we're going to create more branches. So think branches as arms and more Y shapes. So I'm going to start back where I started with my one tree, and I'm going to give him a branch at the bottom and another little Y. So think of our branches now as sideways Ys. And I'm just going to go back into my Ys and add littler branches. And maybe I go back on top of some of my Ys and add more Ys. So they can get tiny as you go up to your tree. And that's how branches are. So when you go up towards the top, they get smaller. So just keep on creating the letter Y. Now I'm just going to do this to all of my trees. I don't have to add that many. You're the artist. You choose how many branches you want to add to your trees. And you can simply just leave them as Ys too. That's okay. So just keep on building your Ys off of your Ys. And you can add other branches. But remember, they're making Ys and Vs. If you want to thicken the bottom of your Ys, you can too. All right, so there is part 1 of our trees. We have our trees and we like how our trees look. We are going to start adding color. So you want to get your warm colors of orange, red, and yellow, and also green or brown. You can also use to incorporate into your trees and your grass. So I'm going to start by adding circles, right? So Pointillism use circles to create their artwork, and just like what we saw in George Seurat's artwork and paintings. So you can either start at one tree or kind of go all over your page and create circles. So, or you can also create kind of like slashes too, but I'm going to stick with circles. And they can be big circles, little circles, they can be different sizes. So I'm just going to simply kind of start and go around my tree with circles. I'm just kind of like building out my color. And you can go on the branches, around the branches. And if you want to stop and pick a different color and then work in that area, you can have bigger circles. You have smaller circles. It's up to you of the shape, size, and placement of where you put your shapes, or not your shape, your circles. You can have bigger circles towards the top. So I'm going to move on to my next tree, and I'm going to start with yellow, which you might not be able to see. And I'm going to go back in with a darker shade of yellow. If we were at school, perhaps we would use paint for this project and different circle objects to create our leaves. Maybe even bubble wrap. That would be kind of cool. Because then we have texture to create some and you can even add blue dots in here to represent the sky if you like. That's totally up to you. Sorry about that. My video stopped videotaping since I had to delete some of the photos on my phone and free up some space. So what you missed was probably I just finished this orange tree and I added more orange and I added grass. Another thing you can also use is if you have a variety of oranges, like light orange and dark orange, or different yellows and reds, feel free to use them. That will just add more variety of value and color into your fall tree. So I hope you enjoyed drawing this with me, and I can't wait to see what you come up with. So don't forget to take a picture of your work and email it to me at aschuler@pathwayschool.org so you can get a grade. Alrighty, have fun and be safe.